Hey guys, this is Stacy from EatTheBite.com, and today I'm making a delicious bourbon pecan pie. Let me show you how to make it. We'll start with the crust. I'm making a butter crust for this one, so I've got my flour in a bowl, and I'll add sugar, a little bit of salt, and then I'll whisk those dry ingredients together. I cut my cold butter into cubes, and I added them into the flour bowl. You can use your hands or a pastry cutter like this to break up some of the butter chunks and incorporate it with the flour. When the butter is broken down enough, I did switch to using my hands. So just squeeze the flour and butter like this until the mixture becomes just slightly crumbly like you see here. We're going to add a couple of tablespoons of ice cold water to the mix. After that, continue mixing the dough with your hands until it starts holding together. Only add a splash more water at a time if you need a little more moisture. Once the dough is fully formed, wrap it in plastic. And I do like to stick mine in the freezer for about 10 minutes before I start rolling it out. While the dough is chilling, it's time to make the pie filling. This is super easy. I put some brown sugar in a bowl. I added 3 eggs to the bowl. Then some cooled down melted butter, a pinch of salt, a couple teaspoons of vanilla, a little bit of flour, the corn syrup, and make sure you have a spatula on hand to scrape out the inside. Now I'm also going to add a little bit of bourbon into the filling mix as well. You can mix this with a spoon, a whisk, or a handheld blender. Just mix all the ingredients until they're well combined. Now it's time to roll the dough. I pressed down a little to flatten it a bit and then started rolling the dough. You can add a little flour as needed to your rolling pin or the dough itself. Then just roll it out evenly, switching directions so it's evenly spread out. Also, don't worry about any cracks around the edges. You can just pinch them and smooth them back together by hand. You should roll out the dough until it looks like it will fit in your pie plate. It's a very scientific eyeball method I'm using here. Basically, just place your pie plate over the dough and it looks like it will fit. So we move forward. Here's the beauty of rolling the dough out onto the plastic. You can flip the dough right into the pie plate and then just gently pull that plastic away. All that's left now is to fuss with it a bit. We're going to press down to make sure the dough is lying flat on the bottom. Fold the edges over, and if there's excess dough in one area, pull it off and add it to another area that needs it. And then lastly, smooth out the crust a bit, and then we're going to fork it all the way around on the edges. Next, we'll add the pecans to the bottom of the pie, and just spread them out evenly here. Now we'll add the filling, and if your filling looks like this after it's been sitting out a few minutes, it's no big deal. Just whisk it back together like you see here, and you're ready to go. We'll pour it over the pecans like this. Then I've got a little bit of egg wash here, and I'll brush that around the pie crust. Then I'll add my pie crust protector. If you don't have one of these, aluminum foil works too. Then you should bake the pie in a preheated oven at 350 degrees for 1 hour. The hardest part about making this pie was waiting 2 hours for the pie to set before you can eat it. I ended up refrigerating it overnight, and then it was time to eat the bite. So I'll leave you with my live commentary of eating this delicious pecan pie. Okay, first of all, let's take a look at the pie. I'm excited for what I hope is a pop of bourbon. Alcohol pie coming right up. Here we go. Oh. Okay. Here's what I love about it right off the bat. I mean, pecan pie is pretty awesome, but I will tell you this. Adding bourbon to it, I can taste it immediately when I bite in. So if you don't like bourbon, you are not going to like this pie. But if you want to get a little drunk around the holidays, because you can't do it with your family, this might be for you. Ooh, I love it. I mean, I almost never drink, so I can taste the bourbon right away. And I think a few bites into this, I might get a little loopy. Mmm. 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 It's really delicious. I'm loving the butter crust too. Mm. I'm a huge fan of butter crusts. I usually make, when I make a pie, I'm usually making it with a butter crust, although I've done the combo of like shortening and butter as well, and that can be very good too. But I think the combination of these particular ingredients, especially adding the bourbon into this, a butter crust was absolutely vital. And I love how the center came out. I don't like it when it's totally, I don't want to say gelatinized, but look, this stuffing is holding together very well, the middle, the mix of it all. And I like that it's moist too. I just love it. Mmm. I want to have just a little bite of this butter crust right now. Mm. Mm. Mm-mm. Mm. I can see a case could be made to chop the pecans. Mm. A case could be made. I like the presentation of the whole pecan, but I can understand why people do pieces, or they chop up the larger ones by the whole and chop them up. Yeah, because it is a little bit harder to cut into this pie with whole pecans, and it's a little bit harder to fork off a piece. But then it's like, when you really like boil it all down existentially here, how hard can it be to cut a piece of pie? It's delicious, it's sugary, it's liquory, it's buttery, and it's delicious. Who cares if you have to like break one of the pecans in a weird way to get your bite? Mmm. Mmm. Mm. Final analysis. This pie rocks. It might get you a little drunk, and it's super delicious. And I'd say this is one of the easier pies to make in life. Again, if pie making could possibly be difficult, I'd say this is definitely one of the easier ones. It's really delicious. And, you know, if you don't want the bourbon, obviously don't add it. You don't have to. But I really love that. I'd never actually put bourbon in a pecan pie before. And I just did it. And I absolutely love that I can taste it in every bite. So that's it. Pecan pie with butter crust. Drunken bourbon pecan pie with butter crust. And it's really kind of early in the morning, and I guess this is my breakfast today. Pecan pie for breakfast. Plus a shot of bourbon. See, it's affecting me already. Oh boy, I better stop recording. Anyway, it's really, really delicious, and I hope you make it for breakfast.